Welcome to Tech Talks. Today we have with us Rishi Sharma, who's the Vice President Business Development for APAC at Affinity VEVE. Welcome, Rishi. Glad to have you today.
Hey, thank you so much.
Rishi, before we begin and before we start talking, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about VEVE?
Sure. Firstly, thank you so much for allowing me with this opportunity. I mean, a quick round of introduction. So, essentially, started my career in business consulting. Spent close to 8+ years with Nielsen as a consultant. Traveled around the globe. Did stints in India, the Middle East, and Singapore. Came back to India in 2015, and that's where I was a part of the startup community and where I launched a startup of my own by the name of R2D Freight. I was a part of it for 3 years, where I got a successful exit, which it was bought over by some other previous logistics company by the name of Jet Freight. And post that, I've been a part of this exciting edtech space, the edtech space, which is basically Affinity. Got this opportunity and been with them for the last 4 months.
Awesome. That's really great. And you've been in multiple industries, so I'm looking forward to hear from you, not just from the tech space, but overall in the industry, overall in the economy of the world and India as a whole. So as this has been a really tough year, and no doubt about it. But I feel that the only silver lining that we see today is the Q4 of 2020, where everyone is looking up to this festive season. We'll be hearing words like revenge spending and vengeance spending, and people are going to, kind of whatever they've been holding back, they're going to spend and, kind of try and enjoy themselves, at least in the final years. What kind of priorities, and obviously this is a huge opportunity for marketers. So what kind of priorities do you hear from the market? What are the opportunities that you see that this portion of the year brings to us?
Right. Couple of points, right? Number one, I think the last 6 months have been the most challenging time for the marketeers, talk about it, right? Restricted budgets, limited sales. What do I sell, right? And from a consumer point of view, locked out of home, I want to basically get out. I want to buy things, not getting the freedom, and essentially comes Q4. So marketeers recognize that they understand that the customers want to break open. But essentially, after talking to so many marketeers, I think if I want to really outline the key priorities which the marketeers really want to focus on, number one, this has happened specifically post-COVID as well, innovation, right? Think about it. Today, a consumer is spending significant amount of time on the mobile phone. If I get it right, it's more than 4 hours. Mobile phone versus any other media device. Now that clearly calls out for an innovation from the marketer side. That's a clear opportunity. I know my consumer is loving his time on the mobile phone. How can I tap onto that? So that's the number one priority, right? Second priority, all right, you know what? I've not got sales for the last 6 months. My bosses have been telling me, restrict the spends. Again, the point is very clear. I am going to spend a lot of money, but essentially it's very important that I get a return on investment. So how do I make every buck count? That's the most thing. Like, I need to be efficient in my spends. The third aspect. Now, this is what happens when talking to all the brands, right? All the brands held back their spends for the last 6 months. And now comes IPL, comes Diwali. And all the brands, you know what? I want ad time. I want airtime. I want basically right out there. Now, as a marketer, you know that as a fact that 100 brands are going to be competing for the same space. The most important thing, how do I stand out in this clutter? How do I know that customer wants to spend, but how do I ensure I capture that? So that's the third priority. And I think the fourth and the most important priority, and I would say the environment has really accelerated this. So today what has happened is the adoption of digital has just got accelerated. It's just a no-brainer, right? The next 100 million users who were supposed to come online was supposed to happen, let's say, next to 12 to 18 months. It's actually happened in 4 months. Now, I know I've got the next 100 million users who come online. How do I tap into these new users? So again, a priority for the marketer. How do I tap into this new user base? So I think, to summarize, these are the 4 big priorities which the marketers are keeping in for this the festive season which is coming up.
Awesome. That's good to hear. It's also going with consumer priorities, and I hope this is the season that kind of pulls us out of this 2020. All right. So like you said, these are four priorities: innovation, mobile, finding the right spot for yourself, aligning with consumer sentiments. What kind of platforms and what kind of formats, strategies, while we have a plethora of them, what do you think will be the most important ones that will actually help marketers kind of, get these things in place, kind of work with their priorities?
Sure. So, I mean, just to call out, right? I mean, this is what we've been talking to marketers about, right? First thing, what comes to your mind? Listen, man, I want to go digital. I mean, that's very clear, right? So, I mean, you won't believe I've been talking to a jewelry brand where less than 3% of his spends used to be allocated to digital, and he's actually skyrocketed to that to 45%. So, yeah, clear priority. I want to spend. I want to go digital. Now, the thing what happens with these digital platforms is the first thing which comes to your mind is Google, Facebook. I mean, absolutely fabulous platforms to get you the reach, to get you the outcomes. But yes, today we got to understand that what is happening with the customer. Today, the customer is not only interacting with the Google and Facebook digitally. There are multiple touch points which the customer is interacting with. And you know what? The marketeers are aware of that. So, for example, I think, the kind of strategy, I think the things which the marketers are talking about in terms of platforms and strategy, number one, how do I essentially target those users, or let's say target those platforms where I can get incremental reach? All right. So, for example, I know with this particular platform, I will get X, but which are the other platforms which can essentially help me get that incremental reach? Second, how do I get this incremental reach at the most effective cost? How do I ensure that? Third, I mean, at the end of the day, today, if you understand a customer, what's happening with the customer, he knows what a display ad looks like. He knows what a banner ad looks like. He knows what an SMS text looks like. The idea is we are living in a world of customer experience. So today, marketers are trying to focus on formats which are essentially native. I mean, today, think about when I say native, it should not feel to the customer like, oh man, another banner ad is popping up, another SMS is popping up. The idea is I'm reading content about iPhone, I click onto it and it's directed me to a page where I can buy iPhone. So that's the kind of native aspects which I'm talking about. But I think these are some of the key platforms which what brands really want to focus on in terms of incremental reach, essentially incremental reach at an effective cost, and most importantly, being native. So, if you be native, you can essentially stand out. And last and most importantly, this is what I would call out, right? Today, in terms of strategy, a marketer understands that there are multiple touch points for the customer. All right. So today, let's say, if a person is interacting on Google and Facebook, is actually interacting with a mobile phone before that. Now, the point here is today marketers are very clear. It's very, very clear that today the strategy has to be outcome driven. When I say outcome driven, essentially outcome driven at every part of the customer funnel. So, for example, if my objective is top of the funnel, I will go for the right platform, which will be the most effective in terms of spends. If it's outcome driven in terms of final sale, I might go for another platform. But again, the key objective here, go for diverse set of platforms which are essentially helping you the marketing objective at the most effective spends.
Interesting. I like what you're saying about, because it's been a difficult year, we are focusing on getting maximum out of our whatever little budgets that we have left, or
Sure.
that our CFOs have allocated to us,
Yeah.
to make the best out of them. I completely agree with that. Rishi, you work with a number of these clients and help them achieve a lot of these priorities that are so important in 2020. Can you show me a few products that VV has that has really helped them, prioritize some of these objectives or KRAs that they have for these things?
All right, absolutely right. I mean, so let me walk you through a couple of instances where we've actually helped brands achieve their marketing objective post-COVID, right? So, number one, right? I mean, just to set some context, what is VV all about? At VV, like, in my previous comments, I shared that how today a customer is spending a significant amount of time on the mobile phone. So that's exactly what VV wanted to capitalize. What we did was, at the first bit, we went and created partnerships with all the leading mobile manufacturers. So today, as we speak, we have actually created mobile partnerships with brands like a Samsung, a Oppo, a Jio, a Lava, a Gioni, brands which contribute to 85% plus of the Indian mobile users. So yes, this was the first context, creating those partnerships. But the second context, which is more important, which brands asked us,
was what part of the mobile phone is the customer actually engaging with? Where is he spending the maximum amount of time? And with a lot of due diligence and a lot of research over a couple of years, these are the three areas which we actually identified. So just to start off, number one is the default browser, the browser start page. Today, a customer is coming onto the mobile phone, he wants to go online, and the way he's going online is going through the browser start page. And essentially, internal data suggests that today, one in every two smartphone users is spending close to 60 minutes on their default browser. Next, today, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if this happens with you. Every time your phone is unlocked, today you're actually interacting with a lot of notifications. I mean, I think of notifications as a more sophisticated version of an SMS. Couple of reasons for that. Today, every time, approximately 80% of the smartphone users are actually accessing the notification center when they unlock the phone, and the visual capabilities of the notification bring it onto the video aspects is actually more interactive with the customer. So that was the second space which we actually capitalize on the mobile phone. And third, as customers today, I think we are living in a mobile app world. I mean, on your mobile phone, on an average, you must be having at least 10 to 12 apps. So today, customers are inundated with mobile apps. They're actually surfing on the app store. They're searching for more mobile apps. They're actually downloading from a brand perspective as well. They understand what is the importance of having an app to actually drive customer retention. So that was a third opportunity which we leveraged in terms of the mobile phone. Now, coming in terms of certain numbers or certain aspects which I would like to talk about, let me talk about two different sectors here. Let me talk about like the sector which is actually doing extremely well is the e-com sector, like a retail sector, right? So what is in a, sorry, not the retail sector, but the e-com sector. Now today, what is happening is, a couple of things, right? The big question today, which the e-com sector marketing managers are asking us is, how do I keep acquiring new users? And how do I ensure I stand out amongst all the clutter of advertising which is happening? And I know for a fact that today a lot of my e-com transactions, close to 90% of the transactions are happening through the mobile phone. How do I capitalize on that? So this is the way we actually leverage it. A couple of opportunities. Today, every time what we enable leading brands to do is every time a person was logging into the mobile browser to search for a product, we made sure that the e-commerce brand actually stood out and ensured that it stood out of the clutter. The big advantage, if you actually see my slide, these ads actually are very native to the mobile phone. So the customer actually does not even know that this is an ad. It actually feels like a very natural experience that I'm actually going onto the browser. I can actually click onto a brand and actually ensure that I get the entire experience. So yes, this is one of the capitalizations which we did for the e-commerce brand, just to let you know in terms of outcome. I mean, that's the most important thing in the outcome. These kind of properties, number one, in terms of GMV, we are actually driving 500 crore plus on a monthly basis for these e-com brands. Second, more important, the average ticket size. I mean, that's what the e-com brands want. Like, how do I keep increasing the average ticket size? With these kind of placements, we were able to increase the average ticket size by 25%. More importantly, the new users. The new users today, we were able to contribute anything between 30 to 50%, depending on the e-com brands, via these placements. And again, the question here is, how are these placements actually generating the new users? I mean, that's a question which e-com brands raise to us, right? So two reasons for that, right? I mean, one, today there are over 400 million smartphones which are there in the Indian market. On an average, a smartphone has a life of 18 to 24 months. What is happening is every 18 to 24 months, a new smartphone is coming into the market. And who are the new smartphone adopters? It could be a person in the age of 18, 19, 20, a younger adoption which is coming out. Second, the person logging in from a tier 2 or tier 3 city, essentially every time he's getting onto a smartphone, he wants to go online, and he's going online via these browsers. That's exactly your source of volume for the new users. So that's how we actually enabled some e-com brands to actually drive their sales and help new user acquisition. That is one example of a sector. But let me talk about another example, right, from the finance sector, where one of the challenges with it was a leading a finance brand, a banking brand, where the objective was, this was post COVID, the objective was very clear, that how do I keep acquiring new users given that my offline capabilities have got reduced significantly? How do I actually do that? Okay, so now in that case, what we did was we placed the brand in such a way that every time a person was actually going searching for a bank or finance thing, the bank was actually top of mind right on the browser. Three key things happened because of that, right? I mean, number one, the number of leads which used to get generated for the bank was on an average 5,000. We actually made it increase 4 times. He started getting 20,000 leads on a monthly basis. Second, in terms of the cost per lead, did we make it more efficient? Absolutely. We actually reduced the price by half. So the cost per lead, which the banking brand is actually enjoying, is less than 500 rupees, just to let you know. And third, the quality of the users. I mean, what are the quality of users which you're getting from these kind of platforms, right? Number one, the degree of deposits which the person was actually going through these platforms and depositing was much higher as compared to what was happening offline. So yes, by efficient targeting, by efficient, ensuring that you're hitting the right OE, he made sure the banking objectives got met. So yeah.
Um, Rishi, you've shown us some incredible case studies and great innovations, and mostly mobile campaigns. Can you elaborate on some of the advantages that mobile-first companies will have over others?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, your customer is spending, or let's say the customer is spending the most amount of time on mobile phone, right? Today, I mean, everybody's on the smartphone. First key advantage, massive reach. You want reach, I mean, of course, people, I mean, in yesteryears was a time where people used to talk about, you want reach, you need to be on TV. I think if you want reach, you want to be on the mobile phone. So essentially, that's the first part. Second, I know I want to have effective reach. I want to have efficient reach. Now, the formats, these placements of mobile first campaign not only ensures you get reach, but you get effective reach. And third, and most importantly, I would urge everyone to ask yourselves, where are these new customers coming on, right? I mean, how are you going to tap into those 18-year-olds who are spending less time, more time on Netflix, and who's spending more time on the smartphone? Or let's say, how are you going to tap into the customer who's coming from a tier 2 or a tier 3 city, and essentially the only platform or only mode he has to communicate is a mobile phone. Therefore, if you have a mobile first campaign, or let's say a mobile first strategy, you will ensure that you have access to new customers month on month. So yes, to summarize, massive reach, effective reach, and most importantly, access to new customers.
Perfect. I think that makes absolute sense, because everywhere we look at, mobile first companies are doing, even a lot of companies who had kind of, gone from mobile into other spaces, even physical spaces, are now going to mobile back as a basic strategy that they need. It was great speaking to you today, Rishi. I think we had a wonderful conversation and great insights. Thanks for sharing those case studies. Have a nice day, and we'll catch up soon.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the opportunity.